We're here to announce a significant takedown of two gangs that operate in the northern part of Nassau. These two street gangs that I'm referring to in this case are called Fire and Theft and the 1Order gang. We believe that these two gangs have been the source of much of the gun violence, mostly in Nassau and parts of the Bahamas Islands, reaching back as far as 2014. It was a huge war in the Nassau Village, East Street, Pinewood and Ridgeland areas, and had an extremely active scene. Lives were traded back and forth. Bodies dropping and cases were being caught left and right. Fans watched intensely. As I get into specific details this video, we'll take a look at the beef that escalated between Stephen Die Stubbs and the late Julian Heads Colley. By the early 10s, Nassau was the home to various fire and mad assets, these type of factions, with many of whom had bloody conflicts going on with another set of sets that was called 1Order. The war started in 2010, which Julian Heads Colley swindled a 1Order leader out of some artilleries and ammunitions. On Tuesday 2012, these two gangs would have bumped heads at a popular nightclub located East Bay Street and Bucky Street. The club was called Bull as a known hotspot for drug thugs. About 2 a.m. an altercation occurred inside the nightclub, resulting in Julian Heads' cousin, a Fire and Theft member, to be gunned down in a deadly bloodbath. Among these two gangs there was 8 people in total shot. 1 died on the scene, which was 21-year-old Fire and Theft member Valerio Simmons. Also 3 men were critical condition and 5 others, including a woman, were in serious but stable condition. Before we continue on the nightclub, we would like to say Valerio Simmons wasn't a saint. Prior to this incident, Phil was a wanted man for armed robbery and a shooting incident that occurred Sunday the 25th of March, 2012. Okay guys, let's get back to the nightclub incident. According to police reports, the incident occurred shortly before 2 a.m. on Tuesday at the club located at East Bay and Bucky Streets. Investigations reveal that the shooting was as a result of a feud between two criminal gangs. Police arrested 7 males between the ages of 17 and 42 in Nassau East subsequent to the shooting, and a short while later an additional 15 persons, ages 17 through 54, were all arrested in the Kemp Road area in relation to that incident. A day later, 1Order leader Stephen Die Stubbs was charged with the murder. 5 witnesses appear on the court's dockets, but Stubbs was not the only person charged with murder. Palm Beach Street resident Dwayne Major is accused of killing Valerio Simmons. Simmons, 26, was shot on the 18th of May and died the following day. Kelly, who was not represented by an attorney, was not required to enter a plea to that charge. The accused were remanded to Her Majesty's prisons. The men are expected back in court on the 4th of July 2012. Stubbs was later acquitted and Kelly got bail. That's when Stephen Die Stubbs decided to wipe out the notorious Fire and Theft boss and all of his henchmen. On 2013, a man who was believed to be the leader of the Fire and Theft gang was gunned down in a hail of bullets at Miller's Heights, near Carmichael Road. Colley, 34, was a resident of Price Street in Nassau Village. According to police reports, Colley and another man had just arrived at his girlfriend's when 3 men pulled up behind them in a silver-colored Honda Civic. 2 of the men got out of the car and opened fire. The victims then ran, but were pursued by the gunmen, who continued to fire their weapons. Julian Heads Colley was shot 17 times in his body. He later collapsed at the scene. Police says that his gang retaliation and connected to the Fire and Theft leader and the 1Order leader street feud. This was a major score for the 1Order gang, and the rival Fire and Theft gang was quickly to retaliate. After the passing of Heads, his top henchman took over the notorious gang that was no other than notorious gangster Carlos Sculler Coleman, who quickly put a hit on 1Order gang members. Soon later, the killer of leader Julian Heads Colley last year was shot multiple times and killed early yesterday morning during a drive-by shooting near a preschool. Police have identified the victim as 38-year-old Rolando Smith of Bel Air Estates. Police said the victim was one of 4 men shot by a group of men in a Honda Accord during a drive-by shooting in Montel Heights. Police suspect the same gunman terrorized several inner-city communities late Monday night and early Tuesday morning, leaving 2 other men with gunshot wounds. The shooting took place around 12:30 am Tuesday, where police were called to the scene of a shooting on Ethel Street in the Montel Heights area. When officers arrived at the scene, they discovered a man suffering from multiple gunshot wounds. He was taken to hospital where he is listed in critical condition. Officers were not informed that another man was shot until 7 a.m. Tuesday, when the owner of a preschool discovered the body of man lying a pool of blood on the school's front lawn. Smith was sitting on a wall along with 3 other males when several persons pulled up in a grey Honda. 2 of those persons exited and shot at them. All of the males ran in different directions. One of the males was taken to the hospital. We received another call from the owner of a local preschool, who said when she went to open up she saw the body of male lying in the lawn in front of the building. Emergency services responded and pronounced him dead on the scene. Police have determined that he was one of the men who was sitting on the wall during the drive-by shooting. Smith's mother, Anita King, was visibly upset and told reporters that her son had been shot before. She also said her son was a loving, kind-hearted person. Currently today, the notorious 1Order leader Stephen D. Stubbs is incarcerated on 2 separate murder charges. Stubbs, now 46, and 2 others were convicted for the March 1999 murder of James Ambrose. Stubbs had initially been sentenced to death for the execution of a police officer, and was later sentenced to life imprisonment on appeal and eventually sentenced to 45 years, but in 2021 his sentence was cut 10 years due to violations that breach his constitutional rights. Stubbs was also charged with murdering Delano Morris. The victim was shot to death on the 21st of August, 2009. And Kelly, who's on bail while awaiting a second trial for the 2012 murder of Valerio Simmons, was rapping to a woman outside her mother's home on East Street. But she ended their conversation when he begged for sex. Murder suspect Dwayne Kelly then threw a rock through Annette's bedroom window, which broke a dresser mirror on the 13th of October, 2020. Kelly admitted the charge of causing damage at his arraignments and was ordered to pay $683.76 to avoid spending 2 months in prison. Kelly faces charges of assault and violating the curfew that stem from the same incident. He will go to trial on those charges on the 15th of December and will